So, Nicole Berger is here to give us some information on what you may need to get your land registered. Nicole?
Thank you, Elandwin. In fact, you're correct. In Kingston and St. Andrew, not so much of a problem, but in some parts, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon especially, a lot of unregistered land. So we want to tell you about that. It's estimated that 350,000 plots of land across the island are not registered. That's almost 50% of the parcels on the valuation roll. We sat down with the Deputy Registrar at the National Land Agency to find out why so many properties are unregistered and to take a closer look at the registration process. Let's have a look. The National Land Agency says that in the past few years it has managed to double the number of certificates of title issued annually. The number of titles issued per year now stands at approximately 1,000. But at that rate, it will take the agency 350 years to issue the outstanding titles. Deputy Registrar of Titles Shalise Porteous says one of the biggest drawbacks to people registering their property is the cost associated with the registration process.
Cost for applications, the registration process, it's based on the market value of the land. So initially, when the application is first lodged here, you pay a fee based on 1% of the market value of the land, and that can be very substantial depending on the value of the property. And of course, final fees are paid. Final fees are based on a formula set out in the schedule to the Registration of Titles Act, and of course, it's based on the market value of the land, so it can be costly.
In order to register your property, you will need to fill out the application form, which is supported by a declaration. In addition, you will need 2 declarations from other persons who have known the land for at least 30 years, an up-to-date certificate of payment of property taxes, and a survey diagram showing the location and boundaries of the land. Scores of applications are rejected annually because the information provided is inadequate.
A reason for the rejection of applications is where we have noted, let's say, on a survey plan or a diagram submitted, the area is less than what is on the certificate of payment of taxes. Now you must account for that discrepancy, because immediately that gives off alarm bells to us, because there's a possibility that the portion of land you're applying to register forms a part of a greater portion of land, in which case subdivision approval will be required.
After the documents are submitted to the National Land Agency, several preliminary checks are done.
The declarations are of importance, particularly of the supporting declarations, because if you are required to trace the root of ownership of the land up to 30 years, and you state in your declaration that you're 28 years old, of course, alarm bells. You cannot trace the root of ownership. You have not been around for 30 years. So these are some of the things that we do the necessary investigations for. If you state in your declaration that you became the owner of land under an agreement for sale, then we check for the agreement for sale or receipts evidencing sale of the land to you. And of course, we have to go through the agreement for sale to ensure that the parties listed, that you are the person listed as a purchaser, and that the description of the land in the agreement for sale accords with what is stated in your application.
However, the Deputy Registrar points out that during the verification process, the final decision about whether a title is issued rests with the referees of title.
He's independent, and he provisionally approves the application once it has been determined that the applicant is entitled to make the application, he is in possession of the land, and he's entitled to defend his claim against all persons. Now, the referee makes his determination based on the documents submitted, and that's why it's very important that persons really get the assistance of an attorney at law, because there are several sections of the Registration of Titles Act dedicated to the registration process itself, and the documents you submit will assist the referees in making that final determination. So the determination is based on the documents submitted.
Ms. Porteous says if the documents are completed accurately, the process can be completed within 4 months.